I've been covering a lot of different games lately, and I was beginning to crave something a little more shooty in my roster. Thankfully, a first-person rail shooter just released today, throwing some familiar anime girls to confess their love to you, completing the Galgun trilogy being available on the Switch. The first game of the series to come west, but technically the second game chronologically, but also not Galgun 2. Here is my review of Galgun Double Peace for the Nintendo Switch. The story of Double Peace takes place at the same high school as the first game, Galgun Returns. About a year after that game's events, a very similar situation to the first game happens. An apprentice angel tries to help you with a magical Cupid's arrow and screws up after seeing an apprentice demon causing mischief nearby. Instead of being hit by a Cupid's arrow to help you find true love, you're hit by a supercharged arrow, causing every girl at the school to become madly attracted to you. The only downside is you only have one day to find your true love and confess your feelings, or you will never find love again. You then go on a quest to track down two demon hunters that are also your childhood friends while fending off the army of other women fawning over you by shooting them with the magical pheromone shot, overloading their bodies and making them pass out in fits of ecstasy. Now, Double Peace has a pretty good story. All of the routes are interwoven together with the story of the main character, the angel, the demon, and the two sisters. It all feels connected instead of feeling separated with how the routes of Returns went. It's definitely got its fair share of over-the-top lewd bits, but it's not a bad story. When it comes to gameplay, this is a first-person rail shooter with light dating sim elements thrown in. As you go through each stage, you'll move automatically while shooting down anime girls that are assaulting you with love letters, kisses, and more. Now with this version of the game, it is pretty much copy-paste the same game that released on PS4 and Vita years ago. Nothing was added or taken away, there's no censorship just like before. It's more or less a straight port, which unfortunately means that the motion aiming from Galgun 2 was not brought into this new version of Double Peace. With main progression, it's more arcadey like Returns was. You progress the story by choosing character stats and a route to go on between the two heroines, Shinobu and Maya, with 3 other routes unlocking as you go through the game. You then tackle shooting stages and a hub menu between to save your progress or visit the game's shop to buy upgrades with earned money. The stages themselves are identical to how it worked in the first game. Your character moves on their own and you aim a reticle to shoot at all of the students and teachers running towards you to confess their love. Each of them have different body parts, with some being more sensitive to the pheromone shot than others. The main thing being you need to figure out what their weak point is and shoot at that. But Double Peace did enhance what they do compared to Returns. Many will knock you over or latch onto you so you can make out, requiring you to shake them off. There are also demon-possessed girls this time around that have little demon familiars latched onto them that you've got to shoot off before taking down the girl herself. Or, if it's your thing, let them throw you on the ground and watch them do, well, this. Doki Doki mode returns as well, but it's not that different. You go into this mode, rub the girls' bodies all over to increase their affection, and it causes a love explosion that damage other enemies. One of the later routes has a much more interesting use of this mode than the main campaigns, but it is similar to all of the little interactive minigames and boss fights that you do on the main routes. The gameplay is further enhanced with the request and zoom enhancements. Every stage is filled with collectibles and side quest items that you can grab if you're looking for them. When you zoom in, lots of environments will disappear, like locker doors, bushes, trees, etc. A bunch of the hidden enemies and items will be secretly in these areas for you to find as the game moves you from point A to point B. Sometimes it'll just be for extra money or affection with a certain girl, and others will be clothing items for a particular NPC that you can customize later in the dressing room. After clearing a stage, you are rewarded with cutscenes and normally a dialogue choice that helps advance the route you're on, along with the occasional boss fight. These are pretty standard with their progression. The heroine gets eaten by a crazy tentacle monster and you've got to use the zoom feature to beat it down and get it to release her. You also get money based on completion time, damage, and accuracy. The better you do, the more points and money you get, and that money can be spent on items in the shop. This is mostly used for upgrading your health and bullet damage during each playthrough, but it can also be used to modify pieces of the game, like increasing or decreasing the girl's breast size. You can also donate to the Returning from Galgun 1 shopkeeper to get her secret ending. Now the nice thing they did here with the sequel is what they do to try to help with the repetition. Many chapters give you different stages to choose from instead of just one. The variety in stages lets you go through different environments in parts of each playthrough, so it's not just the same stages over and over again. While many of them will be the same, it took me about 4 playthroughs to see all of the different stages. Speaking of, this game has a total of 5 routes and did something I like that wasn't brought back in 2. Once you complete the Shinobu, Maya, Sisters, Angel, and Devil routes, you unlock the Unseen Destiny or True Love route. This lets you increase the affection of any NPC that appears in the game, and you can choose them as your destined love interest instead of the main characters. So if you really love the design of a specific student or teacher, you can find her in a couple stages with the right stats, do Doki Doki mode to up her affection, and get a nice little ending just for her. Most of these NPCs have unique dialogue based on their personality and background, so it's a nice feature if you're more into them than the main characters. There's even a feature in this mode where you don't have to finish the entire game for it. Once there at max affection, you can skip right to the end. Though considering you do have to play the game through at least 4 times to get to that Unseen Destiny arc. Despite the stage variety, there will still be a bit of repetition if you do all of that in a short amount of time. That dives into content and length as well, as a single route should take you about 2 to 3 hours to clear total, and I didn't unlock and finish the True Love route until I'd been playing for almost 15 hours. Next up is presentation, which is a little weird. Visually, the game looks fine. There isn't as much detail as Returns or 2, as it feels more like a straight port than a remaster, though it does look a little closer to the PS4 version than the Vita. The weird part about the visuals is the brightness filter. For some reason, the Switch looks brighter on everything than every other version. If you look at the Vita and PS4 versions, the shades are a lot darker and colors a bit deeper. Even if you compare this to the Switch version of Returns, the difference is pretty noticeable. Now it doesn't cause any issues, it just looks weird. With performance, no problems. It stayed at a constant 30 FPS from start to finish. I never saw it hiccup, I never saw it crash. So with that, we are now down to battery life. The original model gets a range of 3 hours and 25 up to 5 hours and 1. The Nintendo Switch Lite gets a range of 3 hours and 43 up to 5 hours and 39. The Redbox or V2 2019 model gets a range of 4 hours and 33 up to 7 hours and 14. And the OLED model gets a range of 4 hours and 48 up to 7 hours and 35. In conclusion, Galgun returns to the handheld world and completes the trilogy for the Switch. Now on the downside, it does get a bit repetitive if you want to unlock the Unseen Destiny route to get with your favorite NPC, and the visuals have a weird brightness filter attached. But it has a pretty good story, lots more to do than its predecessor, and a lot of replay value with the different routes. If you're looking for a good lewd rail shooter and already have Galgun 2, it's a nice choice. Reviews to go. Rates Galgun Double Peace for the Nintendo Switch an 8 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thank you for watching and have a great day.